Hello. The next series of videos you will watch, I will be posting on Thursdays. I'm going to be calling it Throwback Thursday. And these are videos that I had originally posted for instructional purposes on my old YouTube channel. They did decently well, especially for somebody who wasn't maintaining a YouTube channel at the time. I hope you enjoy. Hello, class. In this video, we're going to talk about uh, creating a tessellation on Geogebra. Now, before we do any of that, let's go to Geogebra. So, geogebra.org. Now, I'm used to going to the calculator. I'm just going to go to the home screen. And I'm going to click on geometry. Now, something weird happens when I notice when we get the geometry screen, we're supposed to get a blank screen, not a coordinate grid. But this is no big deal. We can turn this off. So, show grid. I'm going to go no grid and then no axes. So we're good now. And I want to sign in. Now, if you never used GeoGebra before, you can link this directly to your Google account. And if you're doing this on your Chromebook, all the more power to you. You click Google. So sign in the upper left-hand corner, or right-hand corner, pardon me. Google. And I'll have to, oh, no, it signed me directly in. You may have to click on your name, and it may want access to certain things on your account. Click Allow. And then really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and save this now. Save this. I'm going to go tessellation template. Okay. Because remember, when you turn this in, you're going to want your final tessellation and you're going to want the template. I'll click save. And it'll allow me, if you didn't see what I did there, so if I click save again, I can switch between saving it to GeoGebra and saving it to my Google account. If you don't get this to show up, don't panic. Just save it to GeoGebra. We'll figure it out later. But save it to your account so you have access to it. And let's get started. Okay, so at this point, if you're watching this video, you're going to be going over translation. Now, the two shapes I recommend for translation are both square and hexagon. And I will be mainly going over square, but I'll stop and show you what I did with a hexagon design periodically throughout the video. So let's go ahead and we're going to click more to start off. And we're going to want to start by constructing a square. Now we can do that with a number of tools. We could do that with segment, that line, with polygon, but there's actually a regular polygon tool. Since the square is a regular quadrilateral, let's click a point and then another point. Typically, my advice is don't make it too big, don't make it too small, but this is GeoGebra. We can zoom in and zoom out if we make it too big or too small. And it is a square, so 4 vertices. It defaults to 4, which is nice for us right now. And I actually will zoom in a little bit. All right. Now, the first thing we need to do is deform this figure. Now, again, this will be used with the tools of GeoGebra. Make your own design. Do not copy what I'm doing. I'm just going to kind of be doing random stuff to show you the gist of what's going on. Don't feel like you have to do it the exact same way. In fact, don't do it the exact same way. Create your own design. Be creative. Okay, so I usually like to use the line segment tool. And I'll just do something short and sweet. And what I will be doing, I like to start at the bottom. I will be translating this across. Now, with translation, remember we need direction and we need distance. And that can be done with the vector tool. Now, the vector tool, how do I ensure that it goes from here to here? Well, the simple way to do that is to go from A to D and click on A to D. That way you're guaranteed the length of that side. Now, we also want something from this side to go to this side. And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to use a semicircle tool. And I'm just going to use it once. Yeah, there you go. And actually, I can see now that, that there's a little bit of overlap here. That's okay. I can move my design as needed. So I'll click on E and drag it so that it is not in the way. And I'll drag F2 to kind of create what the look I was going for before. Now, I'm going to want this semicircle to go across here. Now, I would caution against semicircles because they can be a bit of a pain in the butt. If you don't feel like you're up for anything that's a pain in the butt, don't do it. I'm just going to show you why. Okay. Now, the vector tool, we need to go from this side to this side. And so once again, we can just click on A, but this time we're going to go across to B. Oh, for some reason, it keeps double clicking. Okay, So let's translate. Okay, so here's the hexagon part of the video. Regular polygon like you would with square, set your length. And this time hexagon has 6 vertices, so we'll go with 6. And let me go ahead. Oh, nope, cancel that. It's not the first time I've done that, and it won't be the last. And let's go ahead and center it. Now, in deforming this, we're going to want to pick, I like to pick 3 consecutive sides. The goal is to make this as simple as possible on yourself. So I'm going to pick these 3 sides right here, AB, AF, and FE. And so that means I need 3 vectors. Now, the best way to do this is I'm going to take AB and translate it across. So my vector is going to go from A to E. I want to go from F to D, and then from E to B. Okay. Once again, I won't make this too difficult as, wait a minute. Sorry, that is not right. I want to go from E to C. And the goal is just, again, to make this as easy as possible. So I'm not going to do a curve in this one. I'm just going to do segments. I'm going to try and do that. And then, oh, I guess I'm getting another one. All right, so there's the deformed figure. Now let's go ahead and translate. Translate. So there is a tool in the transform section, translate by vector. I'm going to go ahead and it says select an object to translate, then a vector. If I didn't have my vector already selected, it would make me create one. So I select my object, I select my vector, and there we go. Okay, and we'll click OK. And then you can see there's still a little bit of overlap there. I'll fix that in a second. But first of all, let's translate. Oh, what are we doing here? There we go. And translate, and translate, and translate. All right, now let's go ahead and translate the semicircle. The good news is it's just one curve. And I do want to fix that. Now, the nice thing is, even though I've already translated, I can drag the point. I'm going to go right there because I don't want it overlapping in either direction, and that seems to be the best I can. I didn't really think about this ahead of time, so. All right, so we have our deformation. Let's go ahead and take the time to save now. I'll go ahead and save mine under Tessellation, Tile, Translation. That's a lot of T's. And then I'll go Square, and then my name, Mr. Duffy. And again, if you can't get Google Drive access, just save it under Geogebra and we'll worry about it later. So this and this, and then this and this. We'll worry about a full view later. And now I want to translate the AF stuff to BC. So this, and now I'm selecting this new vector. Oh, 1 second. Wait a minute. Dang it. All right. So glitch is happening right now. Don't panic when you do that. Just, I need to zoom in a little bit because this segment is too small. Good advice for if you make a segment too small, just click off the tool, usually to your move tool, translate, and then now it's bigger and we can translate. And we'll have to trust that it's happening for now. All right, let's check. It did happen. All right, cool. Now I'm going to want to zoom in here. And this is this vector right here that I'm going to want to choose. So translate, selected, select my segment. There we go. And I am done deforming it later. All right. So now the goal is to be able to translate this along. How do we do that without having to take it piece by piece? Well, the thing we can use now is the polygon tool. Now, here is why using semicircles and curves can be a pain in the butt. We have this semicircle that is a curve, but a polygon, remember, only has straight sides. So we're going to have to conform to this curve little by little. And I'll show you what I mean. So pick a point. Any point will do. I'm going to pick this upper left-hand corner. And I can go in either. This is not the time to be doing this. Okay. And I can go in either direction I want. I just have to make sure I go in consecutive order. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to go clockwise around. Now here I get to the semicircle and I have to just do it little by little. You can see this is why it's worth it, I think, if you can muscle through. But at the same time, it can be frustrating if you don't have a steady hand. So proceed with caution. And then I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this, but the idea is I will go all the way around and I have to end where I started. Okay, there we have it. We have our figure. Now, let's go ahead and really quickly save. All right. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to select this all. So I'm going to click on the tool, select objects. And I want to tidy this up a bit. Now, remember my instructions say complete and correct. And when you're doing it on GeoGebra, part of it being complete and correct is that we have to get rid of all these points. We have to get rid of all these labels. Now, the fastest way I have found to do this is why I select objects, click off, and drag, and then make sure you select everything. And then we're going to go to these three dots right here. I'm going to go to settings, and I'm just going to click show object. And what that's going to do is that's going to hide everything, which seems kind of ridiculous. Why would I want to hide everything? Well, rather than having to go through and select those points individually and hide them, now I just have to go back and I go to this algebra thing right here, and I can find my polygon that resulted in the initial tile. So let me go ahead and scroll there again. It's going to be called poly something. Mine's poly 2. And there you go. There's my tile. Now, it did leave me with all the segments. I'm going to hide those later, and I'll show you how to do that quickly. And then I'm going to want my vectors. So where are my vectors? There's one vector, and there's another vector. Okay. So we've got our... Okay, so in preparation for the next step of the process, I went ahead and cleaned it up. I got only my template and I've got my vectors. And so, of course, now I'm going to save. This is my, and I haven't been saving along the way. Do not do that. Trust me, you'll learn to regret it. Tessellation tile, translation, hexagon, Mr. Duffy. And again, I will choose to save this on my Google Drive. I will save. And now that I'm done, really quickly, I'm going to save a new one. So now I've got my tile saved, and now we will begin on my final copy. So we've got our vectors. Now, really quickly, this is absolutely important. You must do this now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save this one more time. Oh, I don't know what it's doing. Save. Okay. And now I'm going to save a new file. Instead of tile, I'm going to call it final copy. I'll just delete tile and call it final copy. And the reason why we're going to do this is because you have to turn in both your final tessellation and you have to turn in your tile. So now this will save the tile. The tile is good. You're good with the tile. Now we create our final tessellation. And those two things must be done in succession. If you don't do them in succession, you may find up you'll save over your tile and then you won't have something to turn in. Okay. So let's tessellate. Now, the good news is we have a single object we can tessellate. So translate once again. I'm going to go ahead and click the object. This is why we use the polygon tool, because now I just have to use the object, and I will click the arrow. And you can see, for some reason, it keeps popping that up. I hope that it doesn't do that for you, but if it does, just click exit. And there we go. Translated. And I say you need at least 15 copies, so let's do this. I'm going to zoom out. And let's go ahead and go back to my translate tool. Object. I'm going to go with the other vector now, and I can see. Now, here's the best part about having these vectors here. I'm going to go ahead and click this and the vector, and I still get that copy. And I get 4, and now I can click this. And I got a 4x4 going here. Now, with translation, I like to create 16 copies instead of 15, so it looks a little nicer. But continue. Now I can select this one and the one to the right, and on you go. Okay, so there we have our final 16 copies. Now, again, we go back to, we got to hide these vectors. Now, this is where you guys have it a little bit easier than the rotational people. They have to select this all, hide it again, and search for their polygons. You guys won't have to do that. You just have to hide your polygons. Or, sorry, your vectors. If the thing will come up. It does take a second. One thing I've always found with Geogebra is don't start incessantly clicking, hoping that it'll make it better, because it won't. And then I'll just hide those. Or not. There we go. All right, now I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I do still want to hide those segments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Select Objects tool again. I'm going to select all of them. And now what I can do, I don't have to click Show Object. Don't do that. What I can do instead is click Style, and this is where line thickness and line opacity is. And to hide these, I'll drag both of these down to their bare minimums. Now, you probably don't need to drag line thickness all the way down to 1, because once opacity is at 0, it's basically invisible, so you won't be able to see it. There we go. And I will click off of it so you can see what it looks like. And there we go. Not inspiring right now, but now we get to color. So let's go ahead. Okay, there is my final copy without color. I followed the exact same instructions, just had to come into algebra, hide my vectors, and then turn the line thickness and opacity down to 1 and 0 respectively. So now I'm ready to be in color. Go ahead and select one of them. And again, it keeps double clicking for some reason. And actually, I didn't need to click out of settings because I do want to do my coloring there. Make sure when you have something selected that it reads poly something, so you know you have a polygon. And you do get to do whatever colors you want. So say orange. And I like to crank the opacity up to 100 because it gives it a little pop. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. Now, the rule is no adjacent regions should be the same color. So when I go to this one, I can't do orange. I can do any other color. I can't do orange. Crank that up. And then when I click this one, I can do orange for this one because, again, bordering regions are not the same color. So go through there, color it as you wish, and make sure you're saving your progress. In fact, I will save my progress right now. All right, and good luck. All right, and there we go. There's my final coloring. Now, if you want to add in more detail to it, and I'll leave this up to you, there is some text thing you can do here, and if you click more and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's also a pen tool. I'm going to leave that up to you, but once you're done, we want to zoom in as much as possible to eliminate as much of this white space as possible. In fact, actually, I will also close this so that we have, there we go. So we can see parts of all 16 copies. And I'm going to go ahead and save one more time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to export image. And it'll give me a picture to download. And this is the picture you can attach to Google. Okay, there is my final copy. Different shades of gray. So I'm going to, oh, wrong menu. I'm going to go ahead and save it one last time. Make sure I have it. And then I'm going to export image and download. And that is it. Google Classroom. Thanks for watching.